Welcome to the Leadership Lounge. This is the show where I shine the spotlight on leaders who are doing it right. And today is a fun one. Let me introduce our guest. What do you get when you combine an energy medicine practitioner who's been in her work for over 20 years, a founder who's scaled real communities, not just brands, a conscious business strategist who understands both systems and nervous systems, a leader who watched burnout take out talented people at every level, and someone who believes you don't fix businesses without fixing what's happening inside the leader? You get Candice Van Dertholen. Candice works with entrepreneurs and leaders who look successful on paper but feel fried, disconnected, or quietly exhausted behind the scenes. She helps people stop white knuckling their way through leadership, regulate their nervous systems to build businesses that don't require self-betrayal to succeed. No bypassing, no hustle theater, no performative wellness. Candice, welcome to the Leadership Lounge, girl.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Thank you. I am excited to have this conversation today.
I am too. And I know our audience is too. They are starting to fill up the room. I will be sharing their comments. And y'all, if you have questions, feel free to pop them in. But thank you all for being here. So let's get started. For the folks that don't know you, would you kindly share a little bit of your background?
Yeah, so I am a holistic practitioner focused on root cause healing. And what that looks like is really listening to the language that people are using in their everyday life to really pinpoint the parts of their experiences that are truly holding them back. A lot of my work is inner work first, and then we can start looking at the business alignment and even the business strategy. But what I found is that so many people really seek spiritual experiences, not realizing that they're just trying to bypass all the inner work. And so what I do is I really help you root back in and work through those layers so that you not only live a life that you love to be in, but then you already see that capacity building and your business begins to thrive.
I love that answer. And look at all these comments we're getting. Candice is wonderful. I enjoy being in her virtual cohort. Everybody's here. Hi, we're going to shout you out as we see your comments. So hi, Kim Murphy. Hi, Chasen. Hi, Nick. It's so nice to have y'all here. All right. So let's just give everyone a baseline understanding. What is energy medicine? What does an energy medicine practitioner do?
Yes. So part of my work is to tune into your higher frequency. So think about it like I'm connecting in with your soul. And I'm helping you really identify the language that you're missing in that connection point. And from there, we begin to really uncover again those layers of your experience that you're not paying attention to. A lot of us go through childhood experiences, early adolescence, even in our career that will pop up in our business, in our everyday life. And so my job is to help connect in, understand where your starting point is, and then help you rebuild that energy signature. So again, every experience that we have is held within the body until we choose to honor it and move through it.
I love that you said that. So I have a term that I call this work, and it goes hand in hand with many other things. And I'm loving that we're having this conversation right now because it's not a conversation that we were having even a year ago or even 5 years ago, certainly not when I was a coming up leader, but I call it leadership infrastructure. And it's doing that inner work to be the best leader you can be. And I would love you to kind of weigh in on why this matters and why leaders are tripping themselves up just on the regular. They can't get out of their own way. So what are you seeing?
So a lot of this goes back to that presence. So when we have that executive presence, we're able to stand in a room and have conversations. We're able to follow through on the actions we need to take. And right now, leaders are facing so much difficulty. Not only is the job market been what it is, and our economy is what it is, but we're seeing this fracture in our upcoming and emerging leaders where they're not even getting the skill development that they need to be the leader that they should be or could be. And so leaders are constantly faced with this always needing to be on, always having to do things on their own. They rise to that certain level and then they're kind of just there instead of having a guidance system. And so if you don't have a firm foundation in who you are, it's really hard to be an excellent leader.
I couldn't agree more. So, what are some of the advantages that leaders are seeing from doing this kind of work? I mean, you have all these cohorts, you do all these retreats, and we're going to talk about the kind of work that you do. But what are some of the success stories? How are leaders realizing this is really helpful work?
Yeah, so I get to do the harder work, which is the inner look. And people are always surprised at how fast their business moves the moment that they choose to know who they are.
Mm,
And because a lot of times we don't always like the person on the other side. Either we have a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, different versions of ourselves that we're trying to mask. And in doing this work, not only are we able to really fully see the experience and then choose to walk differently, but in understanding that, you then have this next layer of embodiment. So,
mm,
embodiment is a shift between thinking about who you are and honoring who you are,
mm,
meaning you have better boundaries, you have easier conversations. Not only are your ideas taking off, but people are motivated by you. They are drawn to your energy. So when people come in, they look successful on the outside, but they are quietly just shattered on the inside. And it's
mm,
because they're trying to keep up with everything on the outside when they haven't done any work in here. And the outcomes have been deeper relationships in their home, deeper relationships in their work environment. And, they don't have to, and I say this all the time, they don't end up Jerry Maguiring their life where they're like, I'm out, I'm just not doing this anymore. And they find a sustainable way to live. And so that's where this work intersects and allows you that space to truly be who you are.
ugh, I love that. So, how do you approach a leader who might think this is too woo? And, the whole concept of woo and business has never really been, copacetic. People are like, it used to be we separate our personal life from our professional life, and that has changed. And now we all talk about add some personal personality and some persona into your work. But woo is like, relatively a newer concept in the business landscape. So, how do you approach those folks that are like, that's out there, I'm not into it, I'm a little afraid, or I don't buy it? So, talk about that.
Yeah, I love this because I work with those people. Everybody that I typically work with is either relatively new or brand new to this work. And so I have a really great way of explaining it for them, but also just understanding that we have been proving energy and energy medicine for decades, actually centuries. And we're finally just now having that conversation where doctors are feeling open to really put these different studies out there because before it would end their career. They would be laughed out of their industry. So not only is the science concrete in that we can prove this medicine works, pardon me, we are also discovering that as we're starting to have systems that are failing us. So everything infrastructure wise, we need something to turn to. And when I think about all the woo, it's kind of funny. I like to bridge the science meets the woo. So, allowing people to understand how we don't have to live in the esoteric in order for this energy medicine to work. Give me 1 second.
While she's taking a drink of water, y'all, I just want to say, I invite you, if you think this is too woo, and if you think that any of the things that we talk about, which Kimberly Arnold's coming on, she's in the audience right now. She's we're going to be talking to us about somatic leadership. This is all part of that leadership infrastructure. And gone are the days where if you've had a rough past and you've had a lot of trauma in your life and you just show up and you think you're going to power through, your life is going to trip you up. So,
Mhm.
this is doing that work to unravel some of that pain and let you be the best leader you know how. So, keep going, Candice. What were you going to add?
Yeah. All I was going to add is that, when you're thinking about this work, we are all energetically connected.
Mhm.
We know this through our food. Our food, as we digest it, creates energy, and it's created as it's being grown. Everything in our environment has energy. And so when we're looking at energy medicine, we're looking at how that energy is interpreted through the body. So, how is your experience influencing how you're showing up in your everyday life? And we look at this through those past experiences that were really hard. Maybe you were told not to do something a certain way, and or maybe your ideas were shut down in the past. And so those all make these imprints, right? When we know based on psychology, our conditioning is a factor, it also influences what we call into our life. So prime examples of, and my dear friend now, we've worked together, and I give this example all the time, but she was a trauma doctor
Mhm.
and a pediatrician, that very high volume work, very chaotic work. And she no longer has that as a practice. Instead, she works with other physicians on burnout because it's so prevalent and important to talk about. And so when she was working in her home environment, she recognized that the energy felt chaotic. And she had never made the connection or distinction that she was recreating the environment that she best knew. So her nervous system was regulated to this frequency of needing things to be chaotic.
Yeah.
And so once we started to uncover that, she was able to start decluttering and moving things. And then her business started opening up. So, one of the things that we don't understand is that when we don't have the energetic capacity to hold something, we can't call it in. And so many business leaders and business owners went through a lot of burnout during 2020 that we haven't even talked about. Won't get there on that just yet. But the energy of that. So if you are carrying the remembrance or the energy signature of
Yeah.
burnout, and you're carrying it into your new business or the business that you're running, you're going to see a stifle in that growth because you're telling your environment, I don't actually want growth. Because growth to me means I'm not going to like my life. I'm going to feel miserable. And
Mhm.
so you create all these barriers from seeing that happen.
Yeah, I love that you said that, and it's been my experience that, we've all been around those people that crave drama and crave conflict, and they're always in a state of, "Oh my god, this happened to me," and, "Oh my god, this is going on in my life," and it's exhausting to be around, and they're usually really lacking some self-awareness, and that's why this inner work is not just that, but a million reasons why this inner work is so important. And I love the comments that I'm seeing from the audience. I think Rainey had a really cool comment right here. She said, I think it's so funny that people call it woo when it's the most natural thing. We need to get back to nature in any way we can because we've lost touch. I mean, listen, we've all heard those stories of the little kids who remember a past life, or they can speak to people who have passed on, and they haven't been shown that this stuff is impossible yet. So it's very natural. So getting back to that grounding, getting back to really doing your inner work is so, so important. I just love that we're having this conversation, and I love that everybody's really resonating with this.
Mhm.
This is great. So,
Well, one thing I want to share too is a common question I get when people come to me is, how do I trust myself? How do I
yes.
trust in my intuition? How do I trust in the decisions that I have coming up? And over time, we've informed ourselves to block this energy. So, the third eye energy of intuition and decision and vision. And it's because of our past experience. And so, our lack of confidence lives there, meaning in our energy. And the moment that we tune in, and again, we begin to embody who we are, we're able to have that confidence and show up in a way that kind of shocks the room.
Mm. So I didn't prepare you for this. So if this is too much, you got to tell me, but I thought it would be really fun since it seems like we have a really receptive audience. Is there some exercise that we could leave them with that they could do to help ground them and help them move through the world with greater purpose, greater intention, and a better sense of being and self?
Yes, absolutely. So I teach this to a lot of my clients, and I've taught this to several medical professionals who go from thing to thing to thing, appointment to appointment, and they don't typically have a time for a break.
Yeah.
So if you can if you can ground in, meaning calm down for a second and allow yourself to just be. And this is when every single thought wants to come through. I like to remind people that just like when we're running, our heartbeat doesn't just slow down, it goes at a pace that it has to basically go back into that slower pace. So, as you're doing this work, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to visualize putting your hands right next to each other and visualize paying attention to the energy flow. So, as you have your hands, maybe just a couple of inches, what are you experiencing? What are you feeling? And really breathe in, allowing the body to settle, allowing the mind to settle, and begin to visualize the sun. The sun is this radiant energy. It is supportive. It provides growth and strength. And it brings this soothing energy into our body. So as you take a next deep breath in, visualize that sun going in between your two hands and into the heart space. Exhaling out anything that is flooding the mind. Just honoring the stillness. And I want you to begin to visualize as this energy begins to cycle. It moves through your entire body, starting at the top of the head and filtering all the way down to your feet. Breathing in with each breath, imagining that energy flow. And on that next breath, bring your attention back into the heart space, back into the palms of the hands, and open your eyes.
Thank you for doing that. I could totally feel the energy. That was wonderful. I love that. And I love that for people that are going from meeting to meeting. I mean, look, I did a post this week about being busy and having a jammed calendar is no longer a badge of honor. That doesn't show you're a great leader. That shows you can't manage time for shit and you need to work on that. But if you are in that flow, which is hardly a flow, taking that minute and, don't book yourself for 30-minute calls, book yourself for 25-minute calls or 20-minute calls and take that time in between. It's really, really important. So what's the biggest lesson you've learned from being this kind of practitioner?
Oh my goodness, that stillness is really hard for people. That it was hard for me. I think that we live in a day and age where stillness, and it's kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying, stillness isn't honored. In fact, we learned it way early in childhood that stillness meant we were in trouble. So heads down, go to the corner, go to your room. So it created a sense of isolation instead of connection. And stillness is what brings everything forward, which can be hard when you haven't been doing the work. But it becomes so much easier the moment that you choose to honor it. I have learned so much about myself and my identity and how I shifted through the world so disconnected from my physical body, my emotional energy. And in being able to do this work, not only have I personally seen such a deep transformation within myself, I get to witness as other people do the same. And I always call it relearning the language of the soul, because when we're doing this work, we're opening back up to remember that we are a divine being in a human experience. And that's something that we don't always want to connect in, because then it becomes too woo instead of its reality. You're literally walking with this energy and this vibrancy and this connectivity of support. But when you've been hyper independent your entire life, it's really hard to accept help. And when I think about it, I think about here's the divine energy flow, here's us. Hyper independence kicks in and I got to do, and I have to effort instead of it being this beautiful co-created process. And that takes time relearning. So many leaders and entrepreneurs, they had to be hyper independent. They had to grow up quickly. They had to adapt to their surrounding. And it's what makes them an excellent leader And it's also what can tear them apart.
Oh,
And so as we're relearning how to slow down and how to be within, we then open our whole life to another layer of possibility.
I love that you said that. I think it's for Gen X and above. We were the latchkey kids. We were the ones who were like, go be creative, go get busy, don't come home. And we were very independent. So we really learned how to move through the world without having to rely on people. And self-care is not something a lot of us are real comfortable with. They feel like that's selfish. But what I want everyone to understand, and I'm going to look right into the camera when I say this, when you take care of yourself, when you're doing this inner work, it makes you a better leader. It makes you a better role model. And that's what the generations below us need to see. So don't be brave and I can muscle through this and I can power through this and I'm not doing therapy. I don't have time for that. You're not doing anybody any favors, especially yourself. So,
Yeah.
okay. What is a story about failure that turned out to be one of your greatest gifts?
Oh my goodness. So everything in business. No, well, because when I started my business, I was doing it the way everybody else said I needed to.
Mm,
And instead of leaning into my background in developing businesses and running small franchises and helping with that development and growth, I just listen to everybody else. And what that's helped me do is be able to help the entrepreneurs that I help now see that you don't have to do this cookie cutter version of a business. In fact, just a fun tip, the brain ignores everything that's familiar. So if you're doing the same marketing plan that everybody else is, the brain is ignoring it. So standing out is really important. And that's the one thing I wasn't doing in the beginning. And it's everything that I'm doing now. And it has completely changed everything, not only about my energy, but like my life. I feel a vibrancy now going into my business that I used to not have.
I love that answer. Okay. Who believed in you before you believed in you?
Oh my goodness. This is going to sound so cheesy, but literally my husband, because I went through
That's
all
never
different.
cheesy, by the way.
Yeah, I went through so many challenges in my life. And when we first met, I was going through this time of inner transformation and doing a lot of healing work before even stepping into energy medicine. And he saw the real me instead of like any exterior anything or my life circumstances. He saw me
Mm.
and he just believed in me. And even though I drive him insane because I leave like 800 things out everywhere. He's like the Candice Trail. He truly believed in me first.
All right. Well, everyone, I don't let you leave empty-handed. So I always want to take care of my people. So I'm going to throw this up here. So you get to go shopping with a little help from me. So this link will take you to, I think, 3 different brands where I've got deals going. If you use that code Lead with Heart, one of them is Cozy Earth. Currently, for the month of February, you get 41% off, which is the deepest discount you'll find anywhere. In March, it drops to 21%. So if you want to go shopping, go now. And then there's some really cool like rocker tees. And then there's some very cool beach accessories. So go have some fun, shop on me, get your discount, and have a good time. All right, back to the show. Oh, and hey, by the way, if you like this content, then please go check out the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. It airs every Wednesday. I had Elizabeth Ralph on yesterday. She's the spiritual investor. So we're in this very woo moment. I like the woo. But it's a great, great episode. She's a dear friend of mine. So check it out. It's on YouTube and wherever you find your favorite podcast. And thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for watching and sharing with your friends. It means the world. Okay, back to Miss Candice. You ready for a little fun?
Sure. I think
Okay.
so.
Time for our not so speedy speed round. This is the lead it or leave it speed round. If you love it, you're going to say lead it. If you don't, you're going to say leave it. And I invite you to comment on all of these topics. This is why it's not so speedy. Okay. This one, I already know what you're going to say, but I'm excited for your answer. Founders who brag about exhaustion.
Hmm. Leave it.
Want
Well,
to say
because here's the thing. What I've helped people reframe is that ease equals efficiency. So you've gotten really good at managing and optimizing time.
good one. Okay. All right. Emotional suppression at work.
Leave it. I mean, that's a mid one because I don't think we need to have full blown therapy sessions every day. I do think that there are safe spaces and opportunities for those conversations to happen as they need to.
Yeah, I don't want to see you crying in a puddle because you didn't do the inner work and you're in your cubicle and you can't handle anything. But if you need to, let it out, hopefully you have a buddy. Hopefully you can
Mhm.
talk to someone. It's important. Okay, self-awareness as a power skill.
Hmm, lead it. Yeah, I think the more in tune and more, again, I call it embodiment, but the more that we are embodied with who we are, again, it captivates a room, it captivates a conversation, and it makes movement happen.
Mm, yeah, I love a self-aware leader. Woo, I love a
Mhm.
self-aware leader. Okay, trauma-driven leadership.
Mm.
And by that I mean you've survived a car accident and you are demonstrating that because you survived it, everyone can get through everything.
I think there's a middle ground on that one too. I think that it's great to inspire people, and how can you inspire them through having the real conversations?
Mhm. Good one. Embodiment over ego.
Absolutely, lead with it. I think embodiment, I've said it like 100 times, I think. But ego serves a purpose too. So I don't want to say it's not important because you do have to have a level of understanding of that. But when you embody who you are, it's different.
Mhm. Good one. Safety creates speed.
Absolutely lead it. Yeah. Anytime, well, uh, going back to the nervous system. So, anytime you as a leader can create the energy of co regulation, meaning safe spaces for people to be authentic and vulnerable, you will see change in your organization.
Hell yeah. I talk about psychological safety all the time.
Mhm.
And the leaders that understand how to create that, your people will perform if they feel
Mhm.
safe. So you always want to create these safe spaces. And micromanagement never inspired anyone. Belittling never inspired anyone. And when you belittle someone in front of others, you are voiding any psychological safety that ever existed. So it's not a
Mhm.
good practice. Okay, this is an easy one. Energy sets the tone.
Lead with it. Yeah, people can feel your energy a mile away. And here's the thing, you don't have to be perfect. That's not what we're saying. We're saying allow space to be your authentic self. And if you're in a mood or you have a date, just separate yourself. It's really easy to do. Or even lead with that vulnerability to let people know, hey, I'm not on my best game today, but I'm going to be in my office if you need anything.
Yeah, I think that's really important to kind of let people know where you're at. And it's
Mhm.
also important as a leader to meet people where they are. And you can see if your people are not thriving. You can see if they push back from the desk or, they're not coming on camera or they're disengaging. So it's on you. It is your responsibility to check in on your people. If you are a leader, you are responsible to them. So start acting responsible, would you? Okay. Wellness theater at work.
Define that. No, I'm just kidding. I think Well, I think that wellness is a huge part of integration.
Mhm.
So, allowing that space for wellness to be an active component is really important, especially when it's done the right way. When
Mm.
I say lead with it, I go with that, but don't just throw the office party where there's a cake. That is not wellness day.
No, no, and I think there's a this is also kind of the probably like 5 or 6, maybe 8 years ago when everybody started really getting into perks, right? Like the ping pong table, the cold brew on tap, the extra swag. Perks that is not making your job better. And if you get a backpack and a t-shirt from a company you hate, no one will wear that and it is a waste of money. So if you give everybody access to free apps and you say you need downtime and you offer unlimited PTO, but you say don't take it, you're not doing anything for your people. So if you're going to recommend these things, at least recommend things that are going to help people and demonstrate that you're willing to use it because people will follow what they see. So I love this conversation. Okay, good. Well, that's the end of the speed round, my friend. So lovely job. Well done.
Thank you.
Um, okay. From what you've been observing, what are leaders getting right now?
I think we're finally stepping into the need to understand the next generation. Some are a little resistant and some call them soft, but I think that there is an improvement in the need to pay attention to how to maybe even adapt and adjust to this incoming leadership.
Yeah, the younger generation is very good with boundaries. This is something that the older farts could take a page out of their book, because if you say I'm supposed to be at work from 8 until 5, they will not show up at 7:30, and they will
Mhm,
not stay a minute past 5. But that's what
mhm,
you told them to do, and they use that extra time for themselves and for their own life and development. And so this hustle and working your fingers to the bone kind of concept is so not something they welcome, reward, respect, none of that. So,
mhm.
every generation loves to poo poo the one below it. And that's been going on for, way longer than we've been alive. But I would really encourage everyone. I used to have to manage a lot of different generations, like 23 to 70s. And you have to create those moments of connection. And if you are going to continue to be like looking down your nose at the younger people, that's not going to earn you any respect either. So
Mhm.
don't do that.
No, I learned so much about boundaries from the younger generation myself. When I was working in the emergency clinic, it was I was just like, "But we just kinda stay later," and they're like, "No, I have, like, plans." I mean, and that's all they would say, and I'm, "Okay."
Yeah, done. They're good. Okay, so talk about who are your ideal clients?
So my ideal clients are high performing professionals or entrepreneurs who are stuck. They are not day one on doing inner work, meaning they're very driven, personal development, all of that. They just haven't done that next layer of inner work. And they're finding themselves really questioning what's next in life. They're in this crossroads of, do I stay at the job or do I do my own thing? Or they are doing their own thing and they're not seeing growth.
That's great. So, um, these clients that come to you, you have a bunch of different ways that you work with them. Can you talk about the kinds of things that you do?
Yeah, so we always start with personal alignment, meaning finding and uncovering those hidden cycles or past experiences that are replicating now in your current experience. And as we start to work on the personal alignment side of things, then we can dive into, okay, where is that energy carrying into your business? Looking at the strategy portion and what are you doing? How are you optimizing your time, resources, and energy? And then the execution side, a lot of it is very foundational work.
Mhm.
So most of it looks like coming in and for the client anyway, we do active coaching. I always have a message or a download for them and I present that message and then we work through it. From
Mhm.
there we do the energy healing side of things where it's like going through a guided meditation and then you're done. We have a nice little follow up system that allows you to integrate this work into multiple areas of your life. And
Mm,
then I also facilitate retreats. So not only do I put together retreats, but I also, as the facilitator, either can come in and facilitate energy medicine and this more interconnective work. Or if you have a group of people and you're like, I don't want to plan that, but I need a place to go,
mhm.
that's what I do.
Love. And can you do the first part that you talked about? Can you do that remotely?
Yes. So most of my clients are remote. I work with people all over the world,
Mhm.
and I do offer in person client sessions in North Carolina.
Nice. What are you working on now?
Well, this is like perfect timing, but I knew that.
By design.
I know. It was quite literally. So in January, I launched a women's cohort that has been 1,000% transformative, and we're only 5 weeks in. We still have 2 more weeks to go, and people are just like, what are we going to do next? And so, what I've decided to do is create a mastermind for women who really want to see and take things forward in 2026. So, this is for the woman entrepreneur who is just not seeing growth in their business and they're stuck and
Mhm.
they are committed to showing up to do the inner work. And then they're really wanting to take that and apply it. So, what makes it a little bit different, I've been a part of many, many masterminds, and the biggest component I was missing was that active workshopping, the active coaching. And so I walk these amazing women through not only the content itself, but then we're going to, in real time, help make sure that you have a tangible takeaway and that you're implementing that the next day, if not that night. So.
Mm. I love that. I'm going to check Candice's LinkedIn there. If you aren't already connected to Candice and you're hearing her for the first time, fix that shit right now. Get connected with her. Tell her you saw her here. But where else can people find you?
So I'm most active on LinkedIn, and I'm also on Instagram. I joke often that you'll see my lovely little life on Instagram and you can kind of stalk me there, but
It's good. And you have a website?
I do have a website. Yes, I do have a website. Um, it's hill.me. So I'll have to just give that to you.
Okay. Well, this is the LinkedIn. You can start there, connect with her. She'll give you all of the things. What's next for you?
What's next? So this mastermind launches in March, and I have the early founding member access now. And from there, I am going to create a 2-day event. So I'll have more details on that later. But, you know, again, it goes back to retreats are really amazing. And I bridge the masculine versus feminine energy into it because I think there's a beautiful dance that needs to happen there. And I'm excited to bring that into a 2-day event. So.
I love that. And let's just pause on that for a second, because this is what we were talking about in the green room. I think naturally women are more into this kind of work, but you have a lot of male clients. So let's give a message and a shout out to the men in the room and beyond who are going to hear this later, because I don't want anyone to think this is just girl stuff.
No. So all of my male clients are so much fun to work with because you guys just think different and you operate different. And the beautiful part is that you don't always have the same vulnerable spaces that women have. And in working with as many men as I have, I've seen the power of truly honoring just where you're at and the ability to look inward. And it's incredible the things that we can do when we allow ourselves that space. And I see this often. I am going to have a conversation later this week, actually tomorrow, with a male that I am going to host a retreat with. So more to follow on that.
I love that. And I just want to reiterate, this work is for everyone. This is for anyone who is a leader, whether you are leading a group of people, whether you are leading in corporate, whether you are an entrepreneur. It is not ever too late to start, but just start. So Candice, my love, I'm going to give you the floor. Take a few minutes. What are some parting words or practices you would like to give to the audience at large? And take a few minutes. The floor is yours.
Yeah, what I would like to encourage is paying attention to your physical body a little bit more. A lot of the reason why we can't intuit or decipher information for ourselves and we're constantly going to like ChatGPT or our best friend is because we haven't slowed down long enough to listen to our body. Our body is giving us so many signals, and a lot of times we've just minimized those. So that's where I would say starting point. And give yourself a lot of grace. Like we have gone through so many different experiences in the last several years. And again, it's kind of like the blip of 2020. We're not talking about it. And we're even going through this energy of decision fatigue from all the AI content, which is a whole other topic I could talk about. But we need these moments of inner stillness to really create a better world and a better environment. Even though the world sounds like a big concept to think about, when you do this work for you, you change your environment, your immediate environment, which then changes your community, which then changes the city, and it just continues to expand. Look at the monks that we're walking through.
Oh,
My,
so
my,
beautiful.
my technology was garbage the whole week they were here because they're so high frequency. I can talk about that later, but they create energy. We create energy and the energy of hope. And so with the last thing I would say is it's never too late to do something different. You're never too old or broken to seek help, and finding that aligned community or partnership or just the ability to slow down long enough for you is something that I encourage. We have a lot going on in the world, and we are the agents of change to see that happen.
Oh, amen. I love that you said that. And those monks, man, that was a beautiful thing to watch and see people coming out of the woodwork to either walk with them, watch them, sit on the side of the road and cry, pray with them. Um, it was really moving to see how something so simple, just a walk for peace, granted, it's a very long walk,
Mhm.
but something so simple could move so many. And I just saw, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a record of the largest group of people that meditated together at once.
Mhm.
And they said that that energy reverberated across the globe, and they watched crime rates drop. They watched a whole bunch of really beautiful things reverberate from that work. And I just really feel like you if you haven't done this work before, this is so exciting for you to discover. So don't be afraid. Candice is a great place to start. And I just can't thank you enough for coming on and introducing this to my audience. I just think it makes us all better. So I'm so grateful to you, my friend. So thank you for being here and sharing your heart and your wisdom.
Well, thank you for having me, and a huge shout out to Scott McGregor and the Outlier Project for bringing us together, who I
Yes.
probably wouldn't have met you otherwise.
That is absolutely true, and there's so many outliers on in the audience right now. Hi, everybody. We love seeing you here. And if you are not an outlier and you want to know what that is all about, talk to Candice or me. We'll be happy to share. It has changed our life. It is an extremely powerful community that's doing really wonderful things, and we definitely welcome the woo in that space. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation. I know I did. I always learn so much from my guests, and this was no exception. So we do not have an episode next week. But in 2 weeks, Kimberly Arnold is entering the Leadership Lounge. She's in the audience right now. We're going to be talking about all things somatic leadership, and it will be a continuation of this topic because we're talking about nervous system and regulation and all the things that leaders need to be thinking about. So everybody, get out there, go lead with heart, have a great day. Thank you for supporting the show and all the work that we both are doing. Take care of yourselves. I'll see y'all in a couple weeks. Bye.